channel's going to pick us up to do a reality show, the Totally Driven reality show.
The Totally Driven reality show. And what would they discover?
Me?
You?
Come on, man. They follow me around for one day, and I'd probably get arrested. But other than that, you know, they'd be entertained.
I don't think this country's ready to handle you on TV.
Well,
like you got no comment for that.
Did I ever tell you about my idea for a reality show?
You know what? You never did. But guess what? Right now,
What's
I don't
that?
care because we have somebody more important to talk to. Let's welcome to the
there
air.
You go.
Mr. Roy Wood Jr., star of Sullivan and Son. Welcome to Totally Driven Radio.
Hey, what up? I want to hear the idea. Let's hear the reality show idea. We'll talk.
All right, go ahead, Frank. Pitch your idea.
Sitcom stuff later. I want to see if it's better than mine.
All right. Mine was Who Wants to Be an American, where you get 15 illegal immigrants, and the winner gets to get married at the end. But each week, the one that gets booted off gets put on a raft and pushed out to sea.
Nice. So it's win or deportation, basically.
and like the tasks would be like, you got to do stuff like an American woman. You know, you got to go to Walmart and navigate through the aisles, you know, and not get into a fight. I just had a bunch of pitch it to a reality company, and they just told me to get away from them.
Yeah, like everything is something super American they have to do. They have to attend a college football game. They have to make a hot dog. They have to grill a burger. Like, you got to learn all the American stuff.
Exactly.
I think the whole Walmart part right there is a reality show.
Yeah, but, you know, you could take it a step further. Let's celebrity deportation. And that way, we'll guarantee you, like, let's say we're doing 12 episodes. You got to have one winner, 12 contestants. We know we're getting rid of 11 celebrities we no longer need every year.
Who's your first celebrity
you deport? Number one on my list, that little Canadian weasel Bieber.
Yeah, just get rid of it. Because I always had a fantasy that Dancing with the Stars was to the death. So I know that's not going to happen. So, you know, maybe celebrity deportation. That might be a better deal.
There you go.
Now, if Dancing with the Stars came to you, would you do it?
No, hell no. Number one, I can't dance. Number two, I'm not a fan of shows like that. Like, I like reality shows, but I'm not a big fan of shows where it's famous people doing something other than the thing they are famous for. You play football. I don't want to watch you do ballroom dancing. It's just not like, were you really entertained by Splash? Did you like that?
Actually, I was. Every time Louis Anderson climbed up that diving board.
That was great. I'm sure you loved that. Seeing these 50-year-old men hurl their bodies 30 feet off a platform. No, thank you. I'll pass. Here's my reality show idea. All right.
Well, you're rolling old school because you guys got this great comedy on TBS, and it's got like an old school sitcom, which is great.
And I think that's exactly the feel they wanted, man. That's exactly what they wanted. Rob Long was one of the executive producers. Worked on Cheers years ago, so there's a lot of echoing of that to the old school multi-camera sitcoms that pretty much anybody over the age of 25 or 30 should remember if they didn't do too many mushrooms.
Actually, me and Frank were saying like it totally reminds us of a cross between Cheers and All in the Family.
Yeah, I think that's a damn good analogy. And, it's definitely a hybrid of a couple of them. We have the Archie Bunker type and Brian Doyle Murray. The one thing I do appreciate about the show is that it's multi-ethnic, but it's not a racial show. I mean, it takes shots at any and everybody, all cultures, all walks of life, and it doesn't lean on any one note to always get a laugh. And that's the one thing I'm most appreciative about because, as the only black guy on the cast, the writers wanted to. They could have hammed it up with a bunch of chicken and rap music jokes if they wanted to, but they didn't.
And you have, like, the total norm role. Every time I see you on there and your lines all about the wife and all just remind me of Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, it's just total complaining. It's just a total, I love her, but I don't want to go see her. I'm happy you're here, which is a lot like some relationships I've been in. So, you know what? I can definitely I have some experience to draw on.
Well, now, one thing I said that I thought was great was about the show. I don't think it could have worked on the network because you guys get into some not overly edgy stuff, but some of the stuff you do, like the episode where you had Ken Jeong on and all the Korean doctors quit to hang out at the bar.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I could see someone complaining about that, like, oh, no, you know, and I'm just glad to see a comedy like that back on TV.
Well, Steve Byrne, who's the star of the show, and he co-created it, he's a Korean-American himself. So there are some nods to Asian culture because there aren't a lot of Asians on television, and there's even fewer in comedy. So I know he definitely wants to touch on that. But even that, if you take Ken Jeong out of that script and you drop them, if you let Ken Jeong any race, that joke, all the jokes still work. Everything, like the entire point of that episode was about making sure that you don't get caught up in your work and live a life that's fulfilled and, you know, socially, you know, beneficial. So in that regard, I think that was, like, really cool, Steve, to really, you know, create something like that where it's not just leaning on one thing. It could have been a bunch of Karate Kid jokes and Mr. Miyagi and, you know, and you know, stuff like that, but they didn't go that direction.
No, the show is definitely well written. We were talking about the episode that was on, I think it was a week or so ago, where everyone decided to date outside their comfort zone. And the woman, and it's funny because you know a show is good when you can actually see yourself, like trying to put yourself, like I was telling Bay today, he was dating the girl who sold cigarettes to kids.
Yeah,
and during that show, I was sitting there watching. I was like, yeah, she is kind of hot. I guess I could overlook that. I mean, you know, if they're selling them overseas, I'm okay with that.
Would you really, like, if this chick is super hot, but she does something that's completely immoral, would you be willing to set that to the side? Now, see, you were different from me because I put myself in Owen Benjamin's character, who in that same episode starts dating a cougar, only to find out that she's his dad's ex-wife. And he's like, oh, this is my aunt. I can't date my aunt. Well, you know what? I could. We're not related by blood. As far as I'm concerned, you're my dad's ex-girlfriend. Let's get it on. And everybody thought I was disgusting for saying that.
Now, this is your first time working on a sitcom, right?
Oh, yeah. I've done some pilots and stuff in the past. You know, a lot of stuff that, you know, just never got picked up by the networks. So this is the first thing, you know, as far as scripted and stuff that made it all the way to the air that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. And, that's a blessing, you know, a million times over, because when you really look at the number of shows that actually get made and then the number of roles available is definitely rare air. So, you know, in that regard, I'm very happy. I will say that comedy will always be my first love, and like that, anything I do outside of comedy is just a side chick. Like I don't even know of an analogy. I'm never going to love you as much as I love her, which is cute. like sitcom acting has a really nice ass, and she smells good and has long hair. But I've known comedy a long time, and I know that she knows how to cook, and she knows how to have sex with me just the way I like it. So I'm always going to go back to stand-up comedy.
Now, how long have you been doing comedy for?
I'm 15 years in. I started I started in '98 down in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm from, and that's a comedy wasteland. It's nothing like where you boys are, where you can get a nice stand-up stage every 30 minutes from there all the way up to Boston, where down south, literally every comedy club is 2 hours from the one that you just previously performed at. You're performing in weird hotel bars on a Saturday night, on game night, mind you, in the middle of football season, with a bunch of drunk Alabama fans screaming, who turned off the television so this black guy could talk to us.
Yeah, that's not a good way.
There was a gig. I had a gig some years ago down in southern Alabama, and it wasn't the SEC championship game, but it was like the game where Alabama wins, they go to the SEC championship, and the show was starting. And I stressed to the club owner, I go, yo, you have to start the show on time. You know, I'm basically being a jerk, and I'm pulling the contractual, if the show doesn't start by 8:30, I get my money and I get to go home rule. So the way the club owner screwed me over, he starts the show, puts a TV on the stage, and puts the TV on mute, and then says, now go perform. So I'm on stage performing, while the most important college football game of the year is being broadcast behind my head. And basically I just stood there in the way for an hour. But I got my money, and that's all that should matter.
I can't imagine.
What's tougher, dealing with something like that or dealing with hecklers?
I think dealing with that. I can deal with somebody booing because at least if they're booing, they're paying attention. So it means you have a shot at maybe correcting whatever's going on or figuring out some sort of way to find a middle ground or just giving up and quitting. But when people just literally are not paying attention to you, you will go crazy. You will literally just lose your... I'm like, what, man? John, look at me. It got to a point where 20 minutes in, I just started offering goofball commentary on the game. That's literally how it happened.
Now, so we go ahead, Frank.
We talked. Bay and myself talked about this earlier, and I wanted to get your opinion as a comedian out there. Do you think that, because comedy's hard, and anyone who doesn't think it is, you need to go and watch, some of these comedians do a live show, and they are working their butts off up there. But one thing that I've noticed, and I think a lot of people, do you think we've become, in this country especially, too sensitive about everything? Because it's like, it's almost
absolutely.
Like everything anymore.
Yeah, everybody has. The thing is, you have a right to be offended. You want to be offended, fine. But you don't have a right to take away or attack me or, like, to try and strip me. Like, these poor bastards who have to resign or apologize for something goofy they said on the radio or, some comic does a rape joke and then droves of internet trolls come out against him and, you need to quit sponsoring him and cancel his show. Whoa, slow down. You don't agree, but that doesn't mean you get to take food out of my mouth because there's other people who do agree. There's other people that may feel that it's funny. And I think that's the bigger issue is that those schmucks are too lazy to come out and open their mouth and save some of these bastards from getting by.
Hello?
Yeah, I think it.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we lost you just for the last couple seconds.
Basically what I said was that it's just, you have a right to disagree. I just don't agree with the fact that people try to attack it. Everybody can be sensitive. Be as sensitive as you want. But don't turn around and call. I used to do radio. I did radio for 10 years. And I used to say stupid stuff on prank phone calls to people. And I've gotten into arguments with people on the air because of some opinion I had. And the droves of emails of people, get him out of there because I don't agree with him. That's basically what any group is saying.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The moment you use the F word referring to homosexuals, or the moment you say the N word in reference, like, oh my God, dude, this Paula Dean stuff, don't get me started. Like, you want to get rid of Paula, you want to be mad at Paula Dean, fine. Be mad at her for whatever it was. You don't treat people, you don't mistreat your employees, you don't talk to them crazy, fine. But to turn around and start this N-word crusade to go, I don't agree with that, and we should cancel your cookbook. Just don't buy it. There's no bad. There's going to be jerks everywhere, and I think people get so preoccupied with making sure that everything around them is so homogenized that they're not even out living their lives. They're just out on being offended patrol, just cruising around the internet and flipping the channels, waiting for something to piss you off. You can spend a 48-cent stamp to mail in your letter of disapproval. Start a blog or something.
It's like you're saying, like people, they have people that just search this stuff out to try to find bad stuff about people just to start crusades.
Professional trash starters. The same way there's people who professionally file lawsuits. You know, there's people like that in this country who just go to stores, wait for something stupid to happen to them, and then they file frivolous litigation against the company and hope settling out of court. And that's how they make money. That's literally how they put food on the table for themselves. It's just being a jerk to everybody. And I don't think it's any different, you know. To play the devil's advocate, because someone has a right to be offended, I don't think, and just speaking from a comedic place, and it's just speaking strictly for comedians, I don't think it gives you carte blanche to just say something that's just wild and insulting, and there's no artistic merit behind it. There's no true effort in trying to be funny. You're just saying something. You're just being a jerk just to be a jerk. It's unnecessary. And, you know, people are going to come out the woodworks to attack you, and deservedly so. You know, it's a hell of a lot easier to defend art. You know, and art is a very subjective word that a lot of performers like to assign to stuff that sometimes is pretty thoughtless and stupid.
Now,
it's almost like they, you know, something that you find funny, people want you to feel bad for. And some of the stuff is not even that, I guess, is not that bad. You know, it's just if one person finds it offensive.
And then you have these people who crusade against, on the behalf of, right? I say the N-word on stage a couple of times to prove a point in certain jokes. It's not a word I throw around like a lot of other comics may. But even when I say it a couple of times just to prove a point, people will still go, oh no, you're not even black. What are you, mad on the behalf of another group that's not mad? You don't get to take the torch from and I'm sure a lot of that's just rooted in the level of white guilt that's pumped into white people's hearts every day by every other group, so they just feel the need to, even when the other group isn't present, somehow defend them. But it's too much, man. It's too much. But I think it all comes in cycles, and you know, it'll tone itself down. I just think the important thing that needs to happen is for performers that believe in what they feel to stand their ground. And that's the most difficult thing to do, is that, you know, a lot of the people that groups go after are people that have, you know, they have stuff to lose. Like, you look at a guy like Tracy Morgan who had to apologize for, what did he say on stage a couple of years ago? He said if his son was gay, he would beat his son, or he would kill him. He said he would kill his son if his son was gay. Now, maybe and this was in the course of a performance. This wasn't a speech, dummies. You went to a comedy show. Sometimes at a comedy show, you're going to hear something that's so far to the left, that is the joke. The fact that it's so ludicrous that this man would murder his son, it's his son. He loves him. Clearly, he's not going to do that. But people left the show offended. They camera phoned it. They posted it. And Tracy Morgan had to apologize. Tracy Morgan had to get up on TV and go, I'm sorry, I love gay people, and donate money, and probably go to a bunch of meetings and hold hands at a rally. And if he just goes, kiss my ass, it was a joke, I love gay people, period, that should have been the end of it. But unfortunately, Tracy Morgan, like a lot of comics, myself included, you represent bigger entities that have a hell of a lot more to lose than you. I couldn't go on some crazy flippant, you know what, man, we got to get rid of poor black people rant. Because, you know, then I'm pretty sure TBS would go, hey, black people are protesting our station until we fire you, so you're fired, because we don't want to lose black viewership, because viewership equals money. And and making a point isn't worth the millions of dollars we're going to lose in advertising. And that's what it boils down to. It's no different than Tracy. It's no different than any major league sports player who says something stupid and has to apologize. It's because there's money at stake.
Yeah.
That's the only reason this discussion is even happening, is because there's money at stake.
I'll tell you, in my opinion, if you buy a ticket to a comedy show, you give up all right to be offended, because you're going there to laugh, to hear jokes. If you're going to be offended, then don't even bother going. That's my thing. Know who you're going to see. If you don't like that type of humor, then don't go to that show. But then don't go to that show and sit there and cry about it. But it's even like the little things now people want to cry about. Like the big thing is there's I think it's a Geico commercial where they made fun of people with gluten allergies. And now all these people are protest Geico because they're making fun of us. I'm like, really? It's a gluten allergy.
Like these groups who got mad at the interracial Cheerios commercial, where if you didn't see the commercial, it's a white mom and a mixed baby, and she's eating Cheerios, and the mom goes, you eat Cheerios, you get healthy. So the mixed baby goes in the living room where the black daddy is sleeping and pours Cheerios all over the daddy. And see, Daddy, I'm trying to make you healthy. And somehow Cheerios had to pull the ad because somebody got pissed for some stupid racial reason. And I'm sitting there like, are you serious? That's what you're mad about? If you want to be mad about something, be mad about the fact that the man of the house was asleep in the middle of the day. Why is he still at home?
And it's funny because I know the commercial you're talking about, and I never even got I never even got like that from the commercial. I thought it was cool that the kid poured the whole box of Cheerios over the old man.
It's breakfast time. Why is he going to work? Why aren't you I don't know. On one hand, I guess you could say he's a pimp because he got his white girl in there cooking up breakfast for the children. But I don't know. I just think people are so wound up. The corporations, if all the corporations came together and said, kiss my ass, we're not going to pull the ad. Anytime someone's offended, people getting offended, they would say a lot less. You know, and I'm not going to say everybody's crazy because there is racism, there is prejudice out there, so you need to checks and balances. But damn, man, if we're just talking as a performer, you know, I don't care if somebody doesn't laugh at me. I'm going to say some things that are on the edge and that you may not agree with. I've been called dirty on shows that I've never cursed. I've been called clean on shows where I've cursed a lot. So you don't like me, don't like me. But when you take it past, you know, leaving me a garbage review on Yelp or Ticketmaster, then you're crossing the line. Like, just don't attack me after the fact. Like, it's just how could someone say this hate speech? It's not a Klan rally, sir. It's a comedy club. It's so funny. You go to a Klan rally and hear some of the most outrageous stuff in the world, and nobody would say anything because it's a Klan rally and you expect to hear craziness. But you come to a comedy club, I'm somehow supposed to meet whatever preconceived expectations are of over 250 people. How wild is that? That if I let one person down, I could please 249, but that one person goes, I went to that comedy show, and it wasn't what I expected. That's what I should start doing. I'm going to start going to Klan rallies, expecting to hear a speech about daisies and lilies. And then protest the Klan.
Well, before you do that, I mean, you guys have put together a little comedy tour, you and the rest of the cast of Sullivan and Son. It's,
We're out. We're banging out on the road, man. 25 cities. It started last month. It was zigzagging all over the place. We're going to get to Philadelphia August 8th. We'll be down on South Street, Theater of the Living Arts. And then after the show, I will be at Lorenzo's to get pizza.
Look at you, my man. You know South Street.
Oh, dude, I have walked that drunken street many a time. I used to play the Laugh House. Rest in peace, Laugh House. Closed down last week. I used to play the Laugh House on South Street for years, and I would get drunk and stagger up the block and buy sneakers that weren't even in my size and fights. And
I'll tell you.
One of the most polite fights I've ever seen in my life was on South Street. I was, and I didn't like, and everybody tries to act like Philadelphians are just these rude, crude people, and yeah, every city has a bunch of goons, but there's still a modicum of humanity in all of us. And I saw it. There's a Starbucks on South Street. I think South and
Fourth and South. Fourth
yeah,
and South.
South and Fourth and South. All right. So I'm coming up on that Starbucks, and there's a full-blown fight going on. There's like a 3-on-2 just fist fight that just gradually turned into a monkey stuffing. And the 3 guys are stumping the 2 guys, and one of the 3 guys, he sees me waiting to walk by. He goes, whoa, fellas, whoa, whoa. He puts a pause on the ass whooping that they're giving. And he looks at me and goes, come on by, my dude, come on by. And I politely walked by. And then they proceeded to continue stomping this dude's teeth in. I was like, wow. There's still hope in this world.
Only in Philly do we have polite bullies.
How about that?
But yeah, the show is August 8th. Sullivan and Son Comedy Tour is the website if people want to grab a ticket to come out on a weeknight and see me share my thoughts about Paula Dean and lazy interracial marriage husbands.
That's a legendary room because that's where the Dice Man, he did his HBO specials back in the day there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, we're just trying to follow in footsteps and slowly build
Well, hey, this
ourselves.
is a great idea. I mean, what current show on TV is actually doing a comedy tour? So if you're a fan of the show, now you can come out and actually see the guys you're a fan of live.
Yeah.
I think this is an idea that's long overdue. I mean, I don't even remember any show ever doing this before.
Very few shows are doing it, man. I don't think
actually, I can
like
say Rescue Me did it because I went 3 years in a row and saw Dennis Leary and his group do it.
Oh,
yeah, but half them guys weren't funny.
Actually,
I don't know who was on the show. Well, I like some of Leary's guys. I can't remember who was on the tour, but I know Leary. But wait, are you talking about the firefighter benefit shows that Leary did? I don't think those were tied in. No, those weren't tied in with the show. I think that was just Leary doing some stuff solo.
Well, it was Leary and it was Adam Ferreira and was it Lenny Clark and like 1 or 2 other guys from the show too.
Yeah, that wasn't a comedy show.
Oh yeah, it was. I saw it 3 years in a row.
Oh yeah.
They did. Yeah, it was the benefit. I mean, at first they were doing like a small tour. The first time I saw them, they did the Tower Theater, and then the next 2 years they did like only like 1 or 2 shows, and I saw them in AC 2 years in a row. Oh wow, we lost Roy. Roy's call dropped. Frank, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. All right,
let's see if Roy
calls
guest,
back.
Jerk.
I didn't scare him away. See that? Dennis Leary scared him away.
You got to talk about Dennis Leary. We were talking about Sullivan and Son.
Let's see. Hopefully he'll call back in.
Yeah, because we definitely want to let everybody know this show. Number one, the tickets are great prices. And,
yeah, they're only $22. You can't beat that.
Yeah, where are you going to see comedians that are apparently on they're on a hit TV show? I'm familiar with some of Rory's other work. He is a funny guy on stage.
There he is. He called back in. Here we go.
Owen Benjamin just had a Comedy Central hour special.
What's that, Roy?
I said Owen Benjamin just had an hour special on Comedy Central last week. How far till it hurts? Steve Byrne is working on his 3rd hour special. Ahmed Ahmed has traveled all over the Middle East doing his stuff. So, we're definitely all solid comments. It's a damn good show. We just want everybody to come out and have a good time, and, we'll go through Santa Claus, do something nice,
Now, how long of a sets are you all guys doing? Like equal sets, or?
Me, Owen, and Ahmed, the 3 of us do about 20 minutes, and then Steve Byrne comes on and does about another 40 minutes, knocking out the parts. I mean, it's a solid show, well over an hour and a half, no different than the regular stand-up clubs.
Nice.
And like we were saying, the price, you cannot beat the price of tickets for this show. There's no way you can go see a bad comedy show for that, but let alone a good one with national comedians for what they're charging. You said it was $22, correct, Bay?
Yeah, $22.
Yeah. Well, you can't even go watch a baseball game for that.
Oh, hell no. Nice. So that's August 8th, South Street, the legendary TLA, the Theater of Living Arts, in between 3rd and 4th on South. And you might even see him. Look, his call dropped again. You might even see him at Lorenzo's. And actually, beside the fact that they're going to be on South Street, that's one of the best reasons to go to South Street is Lorenzo's. Now you have two good reasons in one night to see the Sullivan and Son Comedy Tour to TLA, and then you get to go to Lorenzo's. I'll even give you three reasons. Fat Tuesdays to get a nice cocktail Slurpee.
You know what's funny? I've never been to Lorenzo's or Fat Tuesdays.
Frankie, you've never been to Lorenzo's?
No.
How could you have never been to Lorenzo's? Hey, Roy, tell him how good Yeah, exactly. Tell him how good Lorenzo's is.
Lorenzo's is so good. It's only like $2. This is how good Lorenzo's is. They don't even have chairs. That's how good it is. I don't know if they rebuilt it since the fire, but when I used to go,
it just reopened.
It was just literally just come in and get the hell out. We want you to leave. They treat you like trash. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's saying thank you for choosing. It's not polite. And that's why I love it, man, because they know it's good. You'll be back. They don't have to grease you with hello, thank you. Hi. Like as soon as you walk in the door, you walk in these places. Hi, how are you today? I just leave. I know your food's not good because you don't have any confidence in it.
It's almost like a pizza Nazi, Frank.
All right, I'll tell you what.
There's literally a sign that was up at the old Lorenzo's. I have a picture of it. I had to dig to find it. It said, "No Parmesan, don't ask."
Yeah, they actually just reopened probably about a month and a half ago because the week they reopened, I went and saw Tom Jones at the TLA, me and my wife, and Tom Jones was so bad. I walked out after 40 minutes into his set. I couldn't take it no more. It was so depressing.
Wow.
So we walked out, and we went right over to Lorenzo's. And this was like 9 o'clock at night, and there was still like a 25-minute wait to get a slice of pizza.
Sounds about right.
Yep, but it was well worth it. It was well worth it.
And dude, oh, my goodness. How arrogant is that? Where we know it's so good, we don't want you ruining it with parm. So no parm, don't ask.
All right, I'll tell you guys what. On the 8th, Lorenzo's Pizza's on me. How's that?
Listen, if you're gonna shortchange yourself, okay. Now, I'm not hearing a lot of confidence and excitement in your voice about Lorenzo's, and that's fine. So you know what? We'll drop you off at Pizza Hut.
Roy, now you got to understand, I'm a fat guy. I'm proud of my girth. It's got to be really good for me to be impressed. So you got to understand, I've been told that places are good before, and, you get happy, you're about to eat, and then you're just let down. And,
Listen, you can't bring your baggage from past relationships into this one. It's unhealthy. You've got to love with an open heart, all right? And if you're not willing to love with an open heart, you'll never find pizza love.
You know what? I'm going to open my heart to Lorenzo's Pizza on the 8th. And like I said, the
pizza love. I love it.
And I hope I will actually do the fat guy dance in the middle of South Street.
This is how good Lorenzo's is, and this is not even a joke. When I used to do my long road trips from Birmingham up to New York, I would come off the turnpike, and Philadelphia is nowhere near the Jersey Turnpike. It is out of the way. It's literally, and it adds an extra hour and a half to your journey just to come off the pike and go to Philly. And I would come there just to get a slice and then get right back on the freeway.
Frank, and the pizza is so big. The pizza's so big, Frank, they can't even put a whole pie in one box. It takes 2 boxes.
Could I eat a whole pie?
No. Absolutely not.
Challenge accepted.
I've only done 4, and that's just half a pie. I mean, we're talking 2.5 feet across, man. We're talking like the real grown man stuff going on here.
Okay, so that's August 8th. Sullivan and Son Comedy Tour rolls into Philadelphia. Big night, taking Philly by storm. Now, the show, this is your first time doing a sitcom and all. Is this like the dream? I mean, is that like a comedian's dream? Because you would always think like the goal is to work up to get your own sitcom or be part of a sitcom.
Yeah, it's definitely been fun. I mean, of course, I have ideas churning in my head that I want to do, for myself, and my own creative juices get flowing on set. But it's only 3 months out of the year, so I still have another 9 months to cook up and do the things that I want to do myself. So in that regard, I'm definitely happy. And the best thing for me, and I've said this to people before, for me, this show is really, by and large, it's a bit of an internship. It's like an acting internship because one of the executive producers is Vince Vaughn. And Vince is on set. He's there. We run a 5-day production week per episode, and Vince is there for the 3 most important days, the first and the last 2. And, we'll work with him on, just blocking out the scene, how to act, how to sell certain points and opinions. And that stuff is a gift to have. And even better than that, Dan Lauria, who played the dad on The Wonder Years for quite a while, he's one of the leads on the show as well. And I'm just talking just priceless acting knowledge. Christine Ebersol and Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's older brother, they were both original cast members on SNL back in the 70s. So it's unreal, man. It's unreal, the people that are on the show that I get to work with and get to learn from every day. And that part of it, I'm more excited about that. I get more excited about rehearsals than I do the actual taping nights when we have the audience in there.
Now, you just said a trigger that I wanted to ask you about. Saturday Night Live. Have you ever tried out for Saturday Night Live?
Absolutely not, and never will. That's not my lane. I'm not a sketch guy. I'm great with scripted, but there's an avenue, there's an aspect of sketch comedy that I learned. There's a skill set needed for sketch that I learned a long time ago I don't possess. I know what I know. I grew up playing baseball, and as sure as I'm a first baseman and not a center fielder, I'm not a sketch guy. I just don't have the tools for it. It's the same sport. They're related, but the tools needed to play point guard are totally different from the tools needed to be a center or a power forward. It's all basketball, but it's just different. And I don't say that from a pessimistic place as much as it is from a place of respect with the performers who can do that. The ones that are out there that are able to touch on, multiple characters. And, I was in a sketch group briefly in college, and I tanked. It just the way my brain works and the way my synapses fire off, it's just not fast enough. It's just not fast enough to be a good sketch player. I can sit and write all day and come up with some great stuff. I can rehearse scripted stuff, but, when you're dealing with sketches and being, just that open, it's just not me.
I went to school with two comedians growing up. The first one I went through grade school with Jamie Kennedy.
Wow.
And the other one, which is kind of funny, I went to high school with Tina Fey. And, Tina Fey was blowing up, and I would, look at her, I'm like, and I kept hearing, she went to Upper Darby High School. I'm like, I don't remember this girl. And then I actually got an email one day from somebody trying to find, a yearbook of her. And then a yearbook picture came out of her, and I was like, oh, my God, she was like that nerdy girl. I didn't even remember who she was until I saw the picture of her from high school. It's like kind of funny now. But Jamie, yeah, I still talk, like whenever Jamie comes into town, like sometimes we get together and all still. It's funny.
Yeah, I was probably more the Tina Fey type. I don't know how Jamie Kennedy was in high school, but, I kept it very low-key. I wasn't Mr. Popular. I wasn't full-blown nerd, but I wasn't the coolest either. Once I made the baseball team, it's like any other high school. Once you make a varsity sport, then you kind of belong to a separate fraternity. And without that fraternity, you'd be considered a lame. It's like, remember when the dork did, like, join some frat in college, and you had to respect him just because of the letters on his chest? That's what a baseball jersey did for me in high school.
So then what made you want to get into comedy? I mean, if you were like an athlete and all, usually you don't see many like athlete types get into comedy.
Listen, I said I made the team. I never claimed to be some full-blown super-duper athlete that was a draft pick prospect. I wasn't. But also I sucked. But, I'd say for me comedy was ultimately just about, just expression and being able to just share my idiotic thoughts with strangers. Like, hey, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing compares to it. And it was kind of twofold. I started getting into comedy once the Comedy Central Network signed on, and I discovered it. And, my dad's old Red Fox album, coupled that with Sinbad specials that were coming on TV back in the day. And, that was enough to get me, to kind of wet my beak a little and get me excited about it some. And then I went to college, and I took a public speaking class, and I had to do public speaking for a while. And you have to do these impromptu speeches. And I did an impromptu speech class and just ripped. I had damn near standing ovation. I mean, I was just cracking jokes left and right on stage. And it was one of those magical moments in class where I'm like, wow, that felt really good to open my mouth and for people to laugh at it. Where can I do this again? A comedy club. Cool. That's where I'm headed.
Wow. And I guess once you get up on the stage and actually start seeing people laugh, I mean, both Frank and myself are actually former pro wrestlers, and I played in a band, so I know, once you get in front of a crowd and you see a crowd react to you, there's like no better feeling.
It's electric.
Yeah.
It's electric, man. How could you can't get away from that. You have to have it. You have to feel that again. Like, it's just, I don't think people will ever understand that, but it's definitely a great thing.
Now, how about you? I mean, you've been on Conan, you've been on Letterman. What would be like the pinnacle for you, for your career?
I don't know. I really don't know. I used to think it would be Letterman. And, when I did Letterman, it's still Letterman, and I've said this before in terms of televised performance. Letterman and Def Jam are probably the two most. Letterman and Def Jam are probably the two biggest credits that I had so far that have meant the most to me, because those were both, comedic institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were both comedic institutions, and they were both very, very difficult to get, very difficult to book. So I definitely felt very fortunate in that regard. But there was a time on this earth, 20 years ago, as a comic, you do the Tonight Show, and you were pretty much handed a 20-year career, guaranteed, stamped, still delivered. Those days are gone, and the internet really changed the dynamic of that, and it didn't really hit me until after I did Letterman. I did Letterman, and I got some heat from it, and I had a couple of opportunities in the industry, but nothing to what compared to what guys used to do. Guys were coming off Letterman, and, networks were handing them checks for like $1,000 to $250,000, holding deals and stuff. So there was definitely a change in the culture. so once that happened, I went, oh, there's no one thing you can do to quote-unquote make it anymore. It's all image. It's all, being able to sustain it. And I think if I could do one thing for the rest of my career, it would just be able to go out on the road, sell tickets, and entertain the masses and entertain anybody that wants to come pay to see me talk. Because just to do that for years and years as a comic is an accomplishment. Because in my 15 years of doing it, I know a lot of guys that aren't anymore, and they're still living. So you can fall off. There are things that can happen that can keep you from being able to do this, because I think you get a window where opportunity is concerned with television. You get a couple of weeks, you get a couple of years. Some guys get 5 years, some guys get 10, some guys get 20. But it's what you do in that time that dictates what the back end of your life will be like as a performer. And if you do it right as a comic, you can do it till you die. Literally,
yeah, I mean, look at a guy like Don Rickles. I mean, how long has he been doing stand-up for? 50 years or something?
50, since the 50s easily. I could give you, Bob Hope. I could give you Carlin. Cosby's still out there. And, that stuff to me is what really matters the most. And I think that's what I would want to hang my hat on. It wouldn't be a single television event or, well, if I had my own TV show that went 100 episodes, all right, fine. Well, what's the whole point of having a damn TV show? So you can be popular and sell tickets on the road.
Right.
So anything that I do is just to facilitate people coming to see me live.
Now, how about you did the prank call CDs? You did radio. Now, were the prank call CDs from your radio days, or was that something different? Or?
Oh, yeah, that's all radio. Everything, all the pranks of me that are on YouTube and all of the good stuff, that's all radio. That's all stuff from the radio days.
Now, my favorite one was the child support call. I was trying to tell Bay that he's got to hear that, because that was one of my favorites. Where did you come up with, how did that hit you? Because to me that was classic.
Some of the characters I did, I gotta like some of the calls, it depends. Like sometimes listeners would give me the premise, and I would do a call based on, hey, call my cousin, she's getting her child support lowered, she's mad. And then sometimes I would do calls where it was just me bored with two thoughts in my head, and that's how I conjured up some of the thoughts. Like I did one time where I called a lady, and I told her that I would whoop her ass, get a hotel room, check out of the hotel, have breakfast, come back to her house, and whoop her ass again. And no one told me to say that. No, it all varied, but it's definitely something that I'm as angry and as aggressive as those prank calls are. I'm definitely proud of them, and I know that's something that, or at least I hope, that will live on long after I'm dead and gone, because there's still nothing funnier than a good old-fashioned American cussing, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. So something about it it makes it funny.
Absolutely. I got to get ready to run here in a second, Jeff. We're getting ready for our live tweeting event. We tweet live at the top of the hour. A new episode comes on tonight. So I'm going to lose you in this parking deck as we get ready to get the band together and interact with the masses on Twitter and all of that crap. Do you guys like Twitter? Speaking of stuff that'll get you in trouble, I have to apologize.
I'll tell you what.
My goal on Twitter is I just try to get in the Twitter wars with people, because I don't understand it. Bay got me on it a couple months ago, and that's been my one goal. I've tried to get in one with Amanda Bynes and Jim Carrey, and it's just not working out for me.
I want to get called ugly by Amanda Bynes.
Yeah, that will definitely boost your career. That's part of the problem, is that the internet is giving everyone a voice, and just because you have a voice doesn't mean your opinion matters. Shut up. That would be my advice to any and everyone. Shut up.
Shut up. Well, everybody, as they're shutting up, make sure to tune in Thursday nights on TBS, Sullivan and Son. Check out Roy, the rest of the crew, especially as they're out on tour, touring this lovely country we have here, and they'll be rolling into Philly August 8th to TLA, and rolling into Lorenzo's Pizza. How about Chicky and Pete? Let's go to Chicky and Pete.
I've never been there. What do they serve?
Crab fries. When you guys roll into town, we'll go meet up and we'll go. I'll take you guys over to Chicky and Pete's for crab fries.
That's fine. We'll figure it out. Anything but a cheesesteak. No disrespect to the cheesesteak, but it's just a boring sandwich. It's delicious, but for me, I'm just more of a pizza guy. I'm just not a sandwich guy to begin with.
How about a lobster cheesesteak?
You know what? Now I'm listening. All right, it's a variation on the classic. We'll give that a shot. And no crab cakes either. Sorry, Baltimore. It's not. It's crab meatball. Not interested.
Roy, you want to give that website a plug one more time?
Sullivan and Son Comedy Tour is the website.
There you go.
There you go. Check it out. Like I said.
All right.
Roy, thanks for calling in.
Right now.
Pleasure.
All right. I'll be talking to you, Roy.
Have a good one, man. See you around.
You too. Take it easy.